Hey everyone, it's Natalie, and I just had a few quick updates before we get to the meat of the episode and all the tolerating that we do here on To All the Men I've Tolerated Before. So, I hope that you've heard that we have a Patreon, and now we have added a goal to get 25 Patreon members supporting the show. Once that happens, I have some cool perks planned out to release. Spoiler alert, one of them is a pen pal program because I love mail and I love putting stickers on envelopes. So head to the link in the show notes, head to the Patreon, and consider joining us and all the fun we could be having. Also, every Tuesday on Instagram Live at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, we are partnering with Pop Culture Makes Me Jealous to bring you Still Comfy with Jules and Nat. It's a show where we're looking at our comfort TV shows and movies to see if they still make us feel warm and gooey on the inside. So check it out. And I can't wait to see you, whether it's on Patreon, Instagram, or in the DMs. Love you all. Thanks for being here. Hey everyone, it's Natalie, and I wanted to give you all a heads up about our episode this week. This week, we released one of our live episodes from Fireside. You can catch To All the Men I've Tolerated Before on the new platform Fireside every other Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Now, there might be a couple differences between our Fireside episodes and our usual format. These episodes are a great way for myself and my guests to go deeper into the topics we cover and to do some fun activities with them. So you'll hear things like audience participation, laughing emojis, and applause when the audience was digging it. Do you want to join in on the fun? Make sure that you're following us at firesidechat.com/Natalie Katona. Have fun, tolerators.
Created live on Fireside.
There I am. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Monday nights To All the Men I've Tolerated Before Fireside live stream. Tonight I still have my fidget in my hand. I'll just go ahead and put that in my desk toy chest. Tonight, our topic is, number one, it's To All the Men I've Tolerated Before's first birthday as of Friday on the 29th, which also means that Anthony and Jill, who are in the audience, had a wedding anniversary, so give us all a round of applause. Love happened, a podcast about all of my dating mishaps happened, so much happened on the 29th. And tonight, we're just gonna chill a little bit because I didn't get to celebrate at all this weekend for the podcast's birthday, and we'll get into why. And we're just gonna talk about my favorite thing to gossip about, which is trashy reality TV, because I need a moment to relax. And we're going to focus mostly on The Ultimatum. Round of applause if you watched the shit show that was The Ultimatum. Oh, I know some people did. All right. There we go. Rounds of applause. We watched it. We're addicted to Netflix. But before we start the show, let me do a couple of reminders. If you hit that hamburger, you can share with your followers and try to get them in here for the party. And then you can also share to your Facebook or your social medias or anything so people can start following me and start following To All the Men I've Tolerated Before, and they can have some fun with us. So if you could do that, I would appreciate it. But the theme of the show is tolerating. And so we're going to do what we always do. We're going to clear the air with me, with the audience, with everybody. And we're going to talk about what we've tolerated since the last time we saw one another. So I mentioned that Friday was the podcast's birthday. I had all of these plans. Look at that cute girl in my new profile pic. Look at her. She's got a tutu. She was wearing a crown. She gave herself a photo shoot. She was hyped for herself. She had been podcasting for 1 year. Some people don't make it past podcast episode number 7. I learned that was a statistic. Look at her. She was so happy. She was going to take herself out dancing. She was going to buy herself and wear a birthday sash. She was going to make people buy her drinks. Because her birthday is also on Christmas, so she can't celebrate like a normal person her real birthday. So she was going to celebrate her baby's podcast birthday. And then on Friday, the thing that I had to tolerate was I had been waking up all week with what I assumed was sinus issues and sinus symptoms. And I stood up to get something while I was working from home. And I got struck with the most violent stomach virus I've had all year. So that took me out Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and kind of part of today. So I wasn't able to celebrate, which means that you all are the first people who get to celebrate the podcast birthday with me because I've been sick. I've been sick. It's been gnarly. But I'm so happy that I had this plan, because could you imagine if I threw myself a photo shoot and all of it and I didn't get to celebrate once? I had so much plans. I was going to have a hat and a sash, maybe another smash cake to really just end the episode, and I couldn't do any shopping this weekend. I paid way too much for DoorDash to deliver me Gatorade. I paid too much. If anyone else has anything that they would like to get off their chest that they've had to tolerate, it could deal with our themes: misogyny, the patriarchy, capitalism, the media being our number one enemy from last week's episode when we talked about 90s male protagonists. It could be any and all of it. It could be the Met Gala. Do you all have cable? I'm just happy that you're here instead of watching the Met Gala, because I saw Blake Lively's dress and it was good. It was good. So if you have anything that you would like to share with me that you're tolerating, maybe you want some advice on, you can do your little hamburger button or the little plus button, and you can request to be on stage, and then we can talk about it and we can move forward getting everything off of our chest. Thank you for everyone's kind reactions about the fact that I was sick. It was a bummer. All right, then I'm just going to jump into it. All right, the ultimatum. Now, I have loved reality trashy TV since I was a child. So Jules is down there in the audience, and she runs the podcast, Pop Culture Makes Me Jealous, and it hasn't released yet, but I have done an episode with her about my breakup of the Bachelor/Bachelorette franchise, because after COVID, I could not do it anymore. I could not care about these people, and I broke up with the Bachelor/Bachelorette franchise. I believe I watched 20 minutes of Michelle's season and then went, this is boring, and I turned it off, never to return. But I have been watching The Bachelor since its beginning. So I feel like I was 13 or 14. And then that evolved, right? And I will say that millennial, that's what I'm trying to say. Millennial reality TV was its own special brand of reality TV, because it was all based in like secrecy and trickery and fuckery. It was Catfish. Y'all remember Catfish? That was one of my favorites. It was, what was the one? It was like MTV's. They would run in and they would kidnap Cribs. No, Cribs was the one where we got to see everyone's house. Room Raiders. They'd kidnap you, they'd throw you in a bus, and then you had to watch strangers. You had to watch strangers ransack your house. By the way, if I've learned anything by the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, which I'm trying so hard to not pay attention to because it bums me out, I've learned that I never want anyone going through my phone ever. So much stuff would be taken out of context. And I've learned from Room Raiders that I never want anyone looking through my room. To think that we lived an entire lifetime just thinking that that would happen, that MTV would kidnap us, and then you'd have to watch a stranger go through your home. Millennial reality TV was some of the best television. My friend Kelly, I don't know if she's down there, sometimes she's here, she texted me today, and the Laguna Beach kids, Kristen Cavallari, and the guy, whose name I'm now gonna forget, they posted some like special. Oh, here comes Katie. Katie wants to talk about Joe Millionaire. How dare I forget about Joe Millionaire? Katie, do you want to be on video?
Absolutely not. You know how I feel about that ever since you took those first unflattering screenshots of me.
Well, next time you can take the screenshots. I have to run the social media. I am the single mom of To All the Men I've Tolerated Before. I have to wash and dry. I have to be on camera. And then I have to do all the work after the camera.
Okay, so I'll be like your reluctant boyfriend who does one thing for you, and that will be the screenshot.
You know, that's the only reason I want a boyfriend, is to take my photos in front of sunsets and to have an Instagram boyfriend. Spoiler alert, you can get that done with a selfie stick. I've done it. So, all right, Katie, tell us about...
That's a good point.
It is a great point. Tell us about the deceptive reality TV that we as millennials grew up with.
So Joe Millionaire is just one I vaguely remember. I don't think I watched it because I'm pretty sure I was just a wee child.
I watched it.
Of course you watched it. But
I was unsupervised as a child.
You're only like a year older than me, so I don't know. But
wildly unsupervised.
Yes. All I remember is that it was pretty much the same as The Bachelor, except plot twist, Joe is broke.
It was classism at its finest.
Oh my god, yes. And so I don't actually know how it went.
I know how it went. They got a group of unsuspecting women because all of the reality TV is so horrendously heteronormative. They got a group of a sampling of America's finest women. And they told them, look, you're in a mansion. This guy owns the mansion. You should love him. And they convinced him that he was a millionaire. However, his name was Joe. He was a construction worker. And they made him go through like cotillion classes to try and be classy enough to like pull off being a millionaire.
Did he find love?
I remember the twist being that if Joe found love, they got to split $1 million, and if she didn't love him, maybe she only got to become the millionaire.
I remember this is like a Greek tragedy. Sounds like
all the time. Joe Millionaire makes what's the other? Oh, Fox is so unhinged. Did you ever come across The Swan?
I remember the name.
Okay. So The Swan was around the same time as Joe Millionaire. And I don't think I watched this one. How I got to the level of body dysmorphia I've obtained as an adult without watching The Swan, we'll never know. But The Swan they took a sampling of what they assumed were plain women in America. And then a doctor, I hope he was a doctor,
he wasn't a doctor.
A doctor came through and he just like Sharpied you like the plastic surgeons do. And he's like, this is how we can make you pretty. And I can't remember if there was a dating component to that one as well. But I do remember that there was a grand reveal. This woman went through multiple plastic surgeries to become a swan.
This is disgusting.
And as we've talked about, this is the media that shaped me. And when I became an adult, The Bachelor just wasn't enough. And I was a big TLC kid. Like, I loved Trading Spaces, and I loved What Not to Wear, some other just, like, shamey bullshit on what not to wear.
Man, I love that show, too, though, but Jesus Christ.
It was a good show. It was a good show. They didn't care if you could afford going back to that store after TLC was done with you, but they took you there once and they gave you like $100 and they were like, buy a pair of pants. What Not to Wear, Trading Spaces, 4 Weddings, some more capitalistic bullshit. 4 Weddings, Say Yes to the Dress, all of it. But my bread and butter was always the relationship reality TV shows because that's when people would yell and cry. And I love when people yell and cry for my amusement. That's why hockey is the only sport that I'll fuck with because it's just senseless violence on ice. And people are screaming, and I bet you people in the stands are crying. And I love
and
nothing
you can
more.
start drinking at like 10 a.m. at a hockey game, like because you're supposed to, so it gets even worse.
I don't know if I've disclosed this to Fireside before, but one of the apartments that I've lived in as an adult for half the year was the dormitory for our local semi-professional hockey team. So I would just like live in a hockey frat house for like half of the year. A dog came into my apartment uninvited. Men showed up and they were like, "Oh, I don't think you're part of the party." And I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm a teacher and I'm just trying to make tacos. Like, please just right there." I'd have to get their mail all the time. The debauchery.
This is a romance novel plot, like right here.
Please write it.
All right, I'll put it on my list.
But like the twist is I fall in love for like the sports manager, like like the guy who just collects the sticks at the end of practice.
Absolutely. That's where the hook is.
The one that had a back injury in college, so he never got to be on the ice pro.
God, so much angst.
So much angst. So the relationship reality TV is always my bread and butter, which meant that during quarantine, I watched all of Married at First Sight. And I pray every night before I go to bed that Lifetime will drop one of the seasons that I know that I'm missing onto Hulu. I like every night, I'm just like, whoever is listening, maybe it's Aaron Spelling, please let Lifetime hug Hulu and I get one more season of Married at First Sight because it... Have you watched Married at First Sight, Katie?
Listen, there are so many television shows and I just can't watch them all.
Listen, if anyone has watched Married at First Sight, this is your time to request to be on stage. But Married at First Sight is honestly the only reason that I think I'll be a bride. Because a handful of what Lifetime has deemed experts will sit in a room and look at my headshot and look at several other headshots and just go, yeah, they should kiss on camera, and then make me marry them. I loved Married at First Sight. And this last season, which wasn't like the most current season on Married at First Sight, but this last season of Married at First Sight that I got to watch on Hulu was so great. It taught me so much about myself as a woman and it's just about marriage in general. So this season on Married at First Sight, none of the couples made sense. I believe that all of the experts still had a fever or something.
I think they did
quarantine.
It on purpose for the drama.
For the drama. There's always one couple that I go, this is the one that you decided would fail. But it's not literally the whole season. And it was the whole season. I was just like side-eye. My mom called me and she's like, who set up these people? And I was like, not an expert. I can tell you that. Where was Pastor Cow during this setup? None of these people were well matched. I believe that they all resented one another for a plethora of reasons before they even got to the honeymoon. But one couple was just like, when I say that I believe that reality TV has made me an expert in the gaslighting of others, I won't claim that it's made me an expert in my own gaslighting, because why would I have a podcast if not I have been gaslit before? But when I say that Married at First Sight is a true study of gaslighting, this woman married this man because you have to. It's Married at First Sight. You walk down the aisle and you're like, I don't know, I guess I'm here. And I made all my family come. I made them all show up to this convention hall downtown. And
imagine if you had to pay for it yourself too, like that was part of the show.
I need to look into that because I can't remember. Because sometimes, I don't think the wedding is on their dollar, but I think some of the dates are on their dollar.
Oh my God.
Like, then you have to go places to be
Who's
interesting.
agreeing to this?
Me, so I can be married. So I can be Instagram influencing. Me. It's me. Oh, here's Kaylee. Kaylee, would you like to be on camera?
Don't do it, Kaylee. Don't trust her.
Not right now because it's 7 a.m. and I just worked out and I look like trash. But I just wanted to say they get paid $150 a day, and then they have to pay their own expenses.
What?
I am going to do some hardcore math.
$150 a day.
Listen, I'm going to do some hardcore math today, and I'm going to see if that's what my going rate at work is. And I'm going to be like, hey, I could have been married for this much.
Well, we should all just quit our jobs and go get married to random people. Fuck it.
Fuck it. That's what I'm saying. That's what reality TV has taught me. If you go on camera and you pretend to fall in love with a stranger and you cry a lot, here comes Stephanie. I knew Stephanie had watched Married at First Sight. She's always way too hyped when I bring it up. Stephanie, do you want to be on camera?
Absolutely.
Oh no, Stephanie, you're into this too? Don't tell Rock that this is like I watched Rock of Love. You remember that?
It's gonna be our
Yes, I see that look on your face. You know that was the shit.
I'm obsessed with Bret Michaels. I'm obsessed with Bret Michaels, and I would have been his Rock of Love. And I love that every episode, no matter what, some woman would be crying about something, and Bret Michaels would go, yeah, because every rose has its thorn. And that's how he'd soothe them.
He'd bang all of them, and then they'd all start fighting and stuff. It was hilarious. My sister and I used to watch that. We'd like stay home from school and be like, let's watch Rock of Love.
Total shit show.
Total shit show. Tried to get onto Bret Michaels' tour bus one time.
Yes. Wait,
did you make it?
I didn't because my mom was there.
Let's talk about that for a second.
So
why didn't you make it? I'm putting lemon into vodka right now because
Stephanie understood the assignment.
Because 2022 is not improving, and I can't do this without vodka anymore. Go ahead. Can't do it.
So we are in Springfield. My family and I are in. My family and I are in Springfield, Illinois, for a family funeral. I won't disclose which relative, but just know that some of us are sad, and some of us are still as smart-assy as ever. We go to a Target because I've probably forgotten deodorant. That's always what I forget to pack. Someone always has to take me somewhere to buy deodorant when we travel.
So no road trips with you at all.
Right. I'm never prepared.
The risk is real.
The risk is real. Or we just don't go anywhere that there is no place to buy deodorant. Or
I feel like that's what I'm going to help you with this. That's the thing, like toothpaste. I'm going to help you with this. We're going to find a think system for you where you're going to remember. It's okay. Go ahead. I want to know this.
So we're at Target, and I noticed that Bret Michaels' tour bus is in the parking lot of Target. And it was height of season 2 Rock of Love. It was like, I was like in the middle of it. So I am a sophomore or junior in college. I'm a freshman or sophomore in college. And I am walking around the Target, and like, my mom's probably pissed because I need deodorant. My sister's probably sad because we're going through a family death. My father is probably not speaking to me. And what am I doing? I'm going, guys, it's fine. You want to know why it's fine? Because I know the mating call of one Bret Michaels. And my mom just looks at me. She's like, what does that even mean? And I go, Mom, I'm going to make it. So even though we're here tonight, we get to meet Bret Michaels. I'm going to make it up to everybody. And I go, because I know I'm a Bret Michaels expert, and I know his mating call, and it's this. And I would just walk around that Target going, every rose has its thorn, and then wait for him to go, just like every night. And I imagined him having a guitar and just like finding me in the toothpaste aisle. It didn't happen. So instead, I went to take my little tiny first gen cell phone. And I was like, I'm going to go take a grainy photo of the tour bus for my friends back home. My mom went, fine, go take a picture of the tour bus. I'm trying to get that great angle. And a roadie comes off of the bus for a smoke break. And he looks at me, and I'm taking this picture. He goes, hey, you taking a picture of the bus? And I went, yeah, I love Bret Michaels. He goes, you want to come on the bus? And I'm just like looking to my left and my left. I'm like, I got 5 minutes. And my mom comes running out of nowhere. Like, no, you will not get on that bus. You will not get on the bus.
Secondary location, Natalie. And what do we know about secondary location?
You never want to get to the secondary location, because if you get to the secondary location, you're not coming back.
Exactly. Is it still a secondary location if the bus is in Target and Target was my original location?
Yes, because you're going from Target to the bus.
Bret Michaels Dioc.
And then you know what? Season 3 of Rock of Love was Bus of Love. I could have been the running cast member.
Wait, you would have been a ghost on the bus because you would have gotten murdered.
No, I didn't get to be on the bus. My mom snatched me. Every once in a while, my parents had sense and they'd snatch me.
Don't tell anyone that I told you this, but you know what you do in that case? Push your mother to the ground. And then you get on the bus, and then you apologize later. Like you do. Like you're like, I lost it. I'm sorry. I was under the spell. But you push all the humans out of your way to get onto the bus. That is what you do. Just for future reference, it's okay. Don't push so hard that they get injured, but definitely push on the way.
My mom had me when she was 23. She's still pretty spry. I think she could handle a push.
She's spry. She could have handled it. You should have pushed her. Anyway,
that's what you gotta. That's when you break out the pepper spray. Pepper spray your own mother to get to Bret Michaels,
and then tell her later, "I don't know, Mom. The rock and roll took me. The rock and the roll took me."
My mom, we got out of the car one time, and we made a joke about my dad or something, and I was walking, and then because I do Muay Thai, and I just had this sense, and she went to kick me like as a joke from behind, but I caught her leg with my own leg, and then she fell over on the driveway, and I was like, oh my God, right? So I turn around, and I'm like shocked at first. I'm like, are you okay? And then I see this puddle coming from under her pants. And she peed her pants, but I had to go to the bathroom too. Like I was waiting for us to get home. So then I started laughing, and my sister's standing there. We're both laughing, and I started laughing so hard that I peed my pants. So my mom and I peed our pants on the driveway together, and my sister was just standing there going, am I the only one in this family with bladder control?
Yeah.
You Muay Thai'd her. I feel like that's another level.
Well, don't try and kick me. You get what you get.
I promise you I won't. Like, there won't be a universe for that.
I'm going to kick my way onto Bret Michaels' bus for you, Natalie. I'll get you on there.
Thank you.
See?
Trying to kick everyone.
Because truly, it's my one regret. I mean, I wouldn't have the podcast or anything if I was just like a lady on Bret Michaels' bus. But think of all the things I could have seen.
like his Dioc.
Yeah, like his Dioc. But I loved that show. Stephanie, what do you love the most about Married at First Sight?
I feel like those were the shows that contributed to my ultimate place in my life where I'm not sure I even know how to be in a relationship. I feel like I'm willing, and I feel like I'm a good person. But I think that was contributing. And you tell me, Natalie, what you think. But I here's where I arrived, and this is actually this particular show is, I think, part of what got me there.
Okay.
I think we've spent decades bagging on cultures that do arranged marriages.
Oh yeah.
And I have made a decision about this. I'm not sure it's a bad idea.
No.
I actually think it might be the way to go. Because left to our own devices, I think we make stunningly horrible decisions.
I've never made one good dating decision in my life. Not one.
I feel like I've tried. I genuinely. I do think it's a new day, though. But
between the mania and the depression and the trying to prove a thing or two, I've never made one good dating decision in my entire life.
But you're willing to, right? Are you willing? I mean, are you?
I am willing. I am willing to sit down with Pastor Cal and have him give me the dating SAT, where I believe there's an essay. I don't know. And I'll write out exactly what makes me marriage material.
Yeah. And then I think there's that help of like, you find me who you think that I would match up well with.
But here's the thing I know about that shitty show. I know exactly who they'll give me, and they'll give me the idiot who the moment we wake up from that wedding, he goes white as a ghost, and he goes, did I get married? What are my bros gonna think if I could have smashed so many chicks and now I'm married? And they'll give me the one that isn't prepared to be married. There's always one who isn't prepared to be married.
That's what it would be, though? What if it was a dude you woke up with and went, "Oh no, what did I do?" And he was like, "Baby, baby, baby." That could happen.
There is no level too high of the delusion that I'll give myself to commit to the bit. And it happened when I was on the date in Love is Blind. I did my own version of Love is Blind during quarantine. It was Date and Local. And I somehow got it into my pandemic riddled brain that this was my shot. And I dated a man that I had no business spending time with because I was unemployed, because pandemic life is sad. I only talked to my cat. And and he lied. You know what I learned from my brief stint on Love is Blind is that you can still lie whether or not I'm looking at you. Just because they blacked you out and what you look like doesn't mean that you're not lying to me.
I know. Mm-hmm. I know. I feel you on that.
But I committed myself to the bit because eventually it became very clear that I could be the longest running couple. And they promised me a cabin getaway if I was still coupled up by the end of the experiment.
And the cabin was probably shitty too.
They never took me nowhere. And when I tell you that no one has ever paid me enough to be able to afford my own vacation, I had to go on the internet. And I had to be like, I'll do this experiment and date a stranger so I get a trip. And that's what I did. And I committed myself to the bit because they told me that they were going to make me a local celebrity. And I feel like that's exactly what I would go into Married at First Sight and be like, I'm going to win Married at First Sight. We're going to have the best marriage. We're going to adopt a dog. We're going to get a 3-bedroom. Even though I don't want kids, one's going to be the library, one's going to be his game room. It's going to be sick.
Right?
You're just going to emotionally manipulate him so he doesn't leave.
That's right.
You just just flip it on him.
That's right. Because no one can gaslight better than a woman who's been gaslit in every romantic relationship she's ever had.
Yeah, and Stephanie, I got to disagree about the arranged marriages. Last time I let someone set me up, I'm gay, by the way. It was a freaking stalker. No, thank you.
For real?
Showed up at my work.
Okay, so here's what I'll say to that. Then we also need to make sure that if anyone we're vetting that person.
Yeah.
Who hooked you up.
But for me, we're vetting women. And as a woman, I gotta say, bitches be crazy.
Oh, 100%. 100%. No, it's true. So if you're gonna empower someone to have to play that role in your life, you better make sure they're the stable one of you and the potential catch, fine, dinner,
she's a PhD professor from Florida. Like I live in Thailand, and she's all like,
in Florida.
Oh, I know. She pulled that. I know another gay chick. So because you're both gay, you're definitely gonna get along. And then of course, she's nice, not my type, and so it's like cool. But yeah, then she just started following me around.
That's not how that works.
Do you remember when TNT? I think it was I feel like it was the Superstation. Do you remember when TNT was like, we'll just give your family a bunch of Facebooks and Match.com profiles, and then they will pick you someone to marry.
Yeah. Or Tila Tequila.
Yes.
Tila
Tequila.
Like now. Yes. Remember that? What was her show called? I was so mad.
It was called Tila. It was called A Shot of Love with Tila Tequila.
With Tila Tequila.
And then she almost chose the chick, but of course, just like every freaking show, she ended up with the dude.
Because I watched them all. I watched Flavor of Love with Flavor Flav. I have a friend who then told me that the spinoff show I Love New York he auditioned for, and I was like, why would you do that? We have our entire lives ahead of us. And he went, because I love New York. And then just looked at me like, what a stupid question.
You're broke.
So I watched Flavor of Love. I watched Rock of Love. I watched Shot of Love. If it had Of Love and it was on VH1, I loved VH1 as a young person.
Maybe you, me, and my sister were all like linked by the brain watching at the same time.
Oh, yes. I love that. Just connected oceans away. Just like sitting there being like, what's Brett gonna say today? What bandana is he gonna wear?
Okay, I'll go off video and go back to the audience. I didn't mean to take over your show. I just love your show. And I love these conversations.
I love you.
You're killing
We are, because we're about halfway through the hour, which means we need to get to the real topic, which is The Ultimatum. Katie, did I make you watch The Ultimatum?
Should I jump down?
You told me to, and then I didn't do it.
Kaylee, did you watch The Ultimatum?
I did not.
Okay, well, this is up to you. This is now up to you. You can stay, because, like, I believe in love and open community and whatnot. Your taste in TV is now questionable, and now you have homework. But if anyone has watched The Ultimatum and they need to verbally process with me, now is the time. Because I would like to describe to the audience about how The Ultimatum is the truest study of the human psyche that I've ever seen. You know what? Now I'm going to handpick people that I know watched it.
All right, I'm going to jump down so you can add them.
Okay. And let's see. So The Ultimatum. Can I say that I Love Love is Blind was a contestant on a fake version of Love is Blind. Didn't watch the show until after I was a fake contestant. But anyways, I watched Love is Blind season 2, and I hate that Shake guy. Like we all do. But when we had the reunion and Nick Lachey yelled at Shake, and then Vanessa Lachey yelled harder. I think that's my new kink. But at the end of that reunion, they then gave us a preview of The Ultimatum. And I knew that I was 100% in. Because this is what I made up. Because this is what I do. I watch trailers and then I make up what the show should be. And then I convince other people that that's what the show's going to be. I told my sister that like Hadestown was just going to be them repeating that walk in the underworld, hoping for a different outcome over and over again. Because one of the songs in Hadestown said something like, we keep telling the story, even though we know the end. It's a continuous play. Like it has a start, beginning, middle, and end. But for some reason, I thought it was just going to fuck with time and loop-de-loop because I like to latch on to one thing and then make it the whole thing. So I'm watching the trailer for The Ultimatum, and I decide that I know exactly what the show is. And then I start running my mouth that we're all going to watch The Ultimatum. And I go, so this is what happened. Nick Lachey and Vanessa Lachey tricked a bunch of people. They, like, put out like pamphlets, resume calls, applications. They told people, if you or your partner has given one of you an ultimatum, we're going to do some intensive marriage counseling because we're Nick and Vanessa Lachey and we're doing great. Check Love is Blind. And I thought that Nick and Vanessa were going to pull all of these people who needed help and trick them. And when they arrived at the villa or the apartment complex that the show took place in, they were going to be like, surprise, it's a swinging party. You're all going to have to date one another. I thought that that was the bit. Because in my mind, there was no way that people would go in knowing that that was the premise. But when I got there to episode 1 and I realized that these people signed up for this show consensually and willingly, I was like, now I'm even better in. All right, yahoos. So The Ultimatum. I've never been given an ultimatum. No one has wanted to marry or move in with me or make me bear their child. So no one has ever said, I'm going to dump you if. So that's fine. That's fine. This is an area that I don't know much about. But basically what was happening was one partner in a hetero partnership, because all of these dating shows are very heteronormative. One partner looked at their other partner one day and went, you have to marry me, have my kid, move in with me, something, or else I'm going to break up with you. And the other partner just piddled around and was like, I don't know, but are you? And they're like, yes. And now we're going to have Netflix settle this in the streets. And they arrived at some, I think it was like an apartment complex. I have no idea where this show was. They arrive at this like cocktail party with Nick and Vanessa Lachey. And Nick and Vanessa Lachey are like, we know what'll fix your ailment. What if we put you with other couples who are going through the same scenario where one of them hates the other person and the other person really wants to marry you, and you'll just date one another. And that will prove whether or not you're in love. And when I say that the timeline of this show is the most fascinating, because you go from meeting these characters and kind of sussing out, okay, she clearly hates her boyfriend, because every time he says anything during these interviews, she looks at him like this. Madeline hated her boyfriend. I believe his name was Kobe. And she would just look at him like this every time he spoke. Speaking to other people, she was still somehow always glaring at him. And like, you're like, okay, so she hates him, but she's dated him for 7 years. Maybe he has money. I don't know. And he hates her, but he doesn't want to be the bad guy, so he brought her onto Netflix. And you're sussing everyone out. The 3 minutes that you get to like suss the couples out and where they stand, all of a sudden they start, Nick Lachey and Vanessa Lachey are like, you can start referring to one another as exes now. And they do. Some of these people had been dating for years. And they're like, you're my ex now. Bye-bye. Bye. You wouldn't marry me and now we're on Netflix, so bye. And then they got to swap around. So first off, I was blown away that people could walk into a show very much partnered and then immediately abandon their partner. And I was like, this is why I don't believe that love is real. I don't believe it. Because look at these idiots. Then they start mingling. And then I was like, oh, I've dated like this. Because then, Katie, let's say you and I are the people who are mingling. Okay, we're going to role play.
Oh, no. All right, continue.
All right. So, Katie, tell me something about yourself, because this was every conversation on the ultimatum. So just tell me a factoid about yourself.
I've suddenly forgotten everything about myself.
Don't make me feed you a fact about yourself.
You might have to. Oh my god. I'm having amnesia.
Weren't you walking a dog this weekend?
I walked my dog last week.
Yeah, okay. All right.
There we go.
Oh, you like walking your dog? I love walking. I can walk so hard. And like when I am like in my own house, I want to have like 7 dogs. So if you like dogs, my bitch ex, she hated dogs. So I'm so glad that you like dogs, because she was never going to let me get one. And that was every conversation. That was every conversation. They would just gaslight one another into believing that they had something in common, which I believe is something that we do whenever we're on a first date. We just agree with the other person so we feel comfortable and they feel comfortable. And that's why I refuse to believe that you're a real person until we are on date 3. Because date 1 and 2, you're just the make-believe person in my head who's agreed
Nancy,
with me.
I don't believe the people I'm dating are like, you know, their fully formed self until like 6 months into the relationship.
Okay, that's a long... All right, good for you for finding
I don't trust anybody.
Good. I'm mostly just proud of you for finding someone who will go out with you for 6 months. I had to pare it down to 3.
What kind of insult was that?
No, I'm saying that, like, I had to pare it down to 3 dates because there was no way I was getting to 6 months.
I mean, to be fair, it has been like 7 years.
Okay.
So it's not working out so hot anymore, but
it's fine.
You know.
It's fine. So that was basically every conversation on the ultimatum. Was they would go through 7 to 8 first dates where someone would be all like, I like blue. And they'd be like, really? I love blue. My childhood bedroom was blue. One time I went to the ocean and I thought, blue. And then like you just build that like false sense of like intimacy, which like I believe is very prevalent in the online dating scene. You like text for a while and then you're like, I know everything about this person. They like Catan. I like Catan. They haven't made fun of me for like having a cat. This is going to be great.
It's all very surface level.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So.
But then, Katie, we have to escalate it because Nick Lachey and Vanessa Lachey are trying to fix your problems. So then, after you've turned your back on your partner and you've told this new person that you're kind of into all of the flaws that you've always had and you've built up for years with your partner, you then walk over to your partner and you're crying. And you're just like, do you remember 3 Christmases ago when I told you that it was okay that bracelet didn't fit, but now I'm just realizing because I talked to Brad over there that it really hurt me because I feel like you don't even know me, and people are just like crying. People are crying. And it's like, I don't know if you want to marry me or if I want to marry you, and I think that's why we're here. And Nick Lachey told me that that's why we're here. People are crying and screaming, which is my favorite part of the show. I'm like, oh yeah. Yeah, this is when the madness starts. And then when the madness starts to settle and people realize that the booze has gotten to them and their secret little silver chalices, then we have to have this horrendous, awkward family dinner.
Because hydration is vital to sustaining life, I carried my wine with me to start the barbecue. I opened the white French doors and sauntered across the redwood deck to the built-in barbecue. I placed my glass on the gray flagstone counter to the right of the grill and swung open the lid. A primal scream erupted from my mouth as I slammed the grill lid down. Oh my God! There is a rat in the barbecue! Hi, I'm Chris Kepler, and welcome to Does This Happen to You? I'm an actor, voice actor, audiobook narrator, and writer. I love telling and sharing stories about the strange experiences my friends and I have while doing mundane things like grocery shopping. That's why this podcast features funny stories from fantastic writers about our daily anomalies, a micro audiobook about life and befuddlement just for you. If you'd like to listen to this story, The Time I Found a Rat in the Barbecue, and other funny stories, check out my podcast. Does This Happen to You? You'll find it on most of your favorite podcast apps.
Because it wasn't like, it's not like on Survivor. Like Survivor, like, does it right where it's like you never know who stabbed you in the back because we all just write it on a piece of paper. And then we flash it at the camera, so we have to wait until the season's out to decide who voted me off the island. No. Nick Lachey and Vanessa Lachey are unhinged, and they're going to make you do it in front of everybody. So you're sitting at this, like, ridiculous oak table, and you're just kind of sitting there, and you're waiting for, like, Vanessa to say your name. And they're like, okay, Natalie, it's your turn. And then, okay, so Katie, you and I are still the couple. Like, we came together. So I'm sitting next to you. So I then have to stand up. And I look at you, my partner, and I'm like, so this experiment has been really great. And it's been really eye-opening. And then Vanessa Lachey's like, who do you want to live with for 3 weeks? And you're like, okay, so the person that I like more than my current partner currently is Nick. And then like, you have to point at someone else. But then does the person that you point to get to go, yeah, cool, I'll live with you. Let's be roommates? No, because that would make too much sense. They instead make you go through the entire table like it's Russian roulette or dating dodgeball. And you have to wait several more people to see if the person that you chose is going to pick you.
This is so unorganized.
Is so what?
Unorganized. It's
no, see, here's the thing. I think they're geniuses. No, I think they organized it in a way to where everyone's tense and uncomfortable and on the verge of tears, which is something that they hide about Bachelor Nation. They never wanted you to know during Bachelor Nation that the entire time that like someone was trying to eat their like pad thai and like get to know the Bachelor, there was a producer in your ear going, hey, just so you know, yeah, he said one time that he never wants to have a relationship with his in-laws. And I just thought you should know because you told us during your screening that you wanted like a big family atmosphere. He doesn't want anything to do with your family. And then like they have to do the mental Olympics on whether or not they want the rose. Like, The Bachelor keeps that under wraps. We had to wait until the Lifetime scripted show Unreal, like, was like, this is what actually happens behind the scenes of The Bachelor.
I mean, like that's kind of how all these shows are. They're just scripted for the drama, because you know, this is why like shows like Degrassi are actually better, because it's like, I know all this is bullshit, but I'm having a nice time. Like, the reality dating shows are emotionally manipulative to the audience, and it's all, none of it's real.
Were you never emotionally manipulated by Degrassi?
No, because I go into Degrassi knowing exactly what to expect.
Oh, I'm sorry, were you not devastated when Emma, against all odds, married Spinner on a beach for no reason?
Well, the reason was that Emma's life fell apart, and she didn't know what the hell else to do, so she might as well marry Spinner.
Her life fell apart so many times.
So many times. This should be a whole episode, by the way, because I am rewatching Degrassi right now, and what a ride it is.
I love Degrassi. Please clap if you've watched Canadian teen drama Degrassi. There were people who had watched it before in this audience. I know it's been brought up, but I love Degrassi. I'm going to let it slide that you called, like, that you made it out like Degrassi is quality television.
It is quality television, first of all. All right, we're going to debate this.
Okay, all right. We'll put a pin in it.
Yeah.
So then we're at the awkward family table. You have to, like, vote on, like, who you're going to live with. When I say that the women who brought their partners here because they threw out the ultimatum, they're cool as a cucumber, because I'm convinced in their head, they're like, they're going to watch me flirt with one dude. And then they're going to be like, I'll marry you, fine, because they'll be pissed. They were really leaning into the male ego. That only happened for two. Because all of a sudden, some guy's sitting there and he's watching all of the chicks that he wanted to pick to live with for 3 weeks pick other people. And he starts, like, getting, like, real fragile. He starts making real shitty comments. He starts trying to, like, whisper to other women, like, I'ma pick you. You should pick me. And people are just, like, looking at him. So then he ends up proposing to his girlfriend because he doesn't want her to be able to go live with someone else when everyone has already, in his head, rejected him.
Oh my God. I hope she said no.
No, she said yes, but guess what their point of contention was? She didn't. So the whole reason they were on the show was because she didn't want to have kids, and he was really convinced that she should have his kids.
Oh, this is not going to work out.
Mm-hmm. So there was a nice little cutaway where, like, it was after the fact, and they're, like, talking about how that just happened, and now she doesn't get to continue with the experiment and maybe meet some other mediocre guy. And she's like, I mean, I'm pretty sure that I'm not still sold on the kid thing. And he's like, yeah, we'll talk about it though. And she was like, I really feel like you did mean this proposal, but we still have a lot to talk about. And he's like, By the reunion, she's agreed to one kid.
Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't like this show. I haven't even watched it, and I hate it.
I loved watching it. When I say that I spent an entire weekend watching it like this, I put TikTok away, I put my crafts away. I was like, what's happening now? Because I would miss something and then someone would voice message me about it and then I'd have to rewind. So I just had to watch Riveted because I was getting live reactions from people. And what I learned from the ultimatum, because then they live with someone for 3 weeks and then they have to decide, do I leave this show with the person that I just spent a honeymoon period with in an apartment that we don't have to clean or pay for? Or do I go back to my partner and I have all of these memories of all the ways that they've disappointed me? And what I realized is, like, even when you really feel like you're in love and committed to someone, it can literally just take one whisper from a Bachelor producer to just shake your entire existence and be like, wait, hold on. I've dated you for 7 years, but now I don't know. Here's Mike. Mike could be great. And I feel like that's the direct result of online dating because we always feel like we have a better option out there.
I mean, I think that was true even before online dating because I actually remember that was a line of dialogue in The Wedding Planner when Matthew McConaughey couldn't decide if he wanted to stay with his fiance or if he wanted to go after Jennifer Lopez. And he says something to his friend like, what I have is great, but what if there's something else out there that's greater?
Oh, yeah.
So this is just part of the human condition, perhaps?
I think so. And that's why I think that the ultimatum should be watched across the board because I truly feel like if you really sit down with it and you pay attention to it and you have a group of good friends who can have a really great discussion with you about what the hell is going on your television, it teaches you so much about relationships, about the idea that we cling onto that is passionate love and whether or not that's like enough to take you through
it's not
marriage. No.
Not enough.
At all.
No, I fixed it. I solved this whole show.
You should call Nick and Vanessa, but don't jeopardize my season 2.
I'm gonna tweet them.
I want to watch this every year.
I think what these shows actually, I mean, I think what they can do, despite the fact that it's all staged, it can kind of speak to you and kind of like any media that revolves around like human relationships. It can speak to you in this way that it kind of like helps you figure out what you want and what you're not going to put up with. Because I can imagine watching the show, and I do plan on watching it. I just forgot. Like I'll just probably sit there and be like, I would have dumped this guy 2 years ago or whatever. Like it kind of, it helps you kind of figure out your threshold for tolerance.
Well, and like when Stephanie brought up earlier that maybe I would be the person on Married at First Sight who wakes up and realizes the big mistake and wants immediately out of the experiment. And I said, oh no, when my brain has decided that we are doing something, that is what we are doing, come hell or high water. I think that is also a big theme in these shows because I remember watching seasons of The Bachelor and just being like, I don't think she likes him. Like, I don't think that they have one thing in common, but she shows up every week. She keeps going on group dates. Every once in a while, she gets a single date. And I think that what ends up happening in both these reality TV shows and in my true relationships is you kind of get to check it off. Like, aha, I found someone to date. And now I never have to think about this again because I did it. And then you just kind of go, and now I will white knuckle my way through all of the consequences, whether or not TV producers are there.
Yeah, you got some major follow through, which is impressive, but dangerous. In this case,
it's called being a perfectionist. It's called being a Capricorn, and
I was just gonna say, what's your sign, Natalie?
And it's called never wanting to be disappointing ever. So I'm getting through it.
We're all doing very well psychologically, is what I'm hearing.
Yes, always. Okay, so let's take it back to my stint on fake reality television. Let's take it back to Date and Love is Blind. I knew date 1, we watched a movie over Zoom together and he ordered me food. So like that was fine. I didn't actually have to spend time with you. You got to giggle at a silly movie on Netflix.
And you got free food.
And I got free food. A dream. Date 2, I knew. I remember that 2 of my friends came over, I think around like our 3rd or 4th date. And they sat there and they were like, so, how's it going with you and him? And I went, he's not forever. That was my exact answer. And I have a lot of friends who are younger than me. So like when I shake their entire like foundation of what a relationship like should be, because I have a lot of friends who believe that you should be dating for forever. So when I just go, he's not forever, but he's for this season of my life, and that's fine. They just look at me like this.
Yeah, he's like, Mr. Right Now.
They're like, what does that mean? I go, it means I've got nothing better to do.
So might as well.
So I might as well do this. And maybe I'll get that cabin trip for all of my hard work. Or dating local famous when the mini series comes out on Facebook. But yeah, I commit to the bit. I've always been that kid who commits to the bit. And that's why I think I'm perfect for reality television. Because I don't actually care what the consequences of the bit. I've already committed.
You should make an audition tape, and that's just like your whole thesis.
So I meant to. I think I did make one. So Netflix has one where you can just like blindly, here comes Anthony. You can blindly like apply for all of their shows. And I remember submitting one for that. Anthony, what's going on?
Well, hello. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you. How was your anniversary?
Oh, it was great. It was great. We did go out.
Good.
So it's good. Good.
I'm glad you went out.
Now we're getting back to you.
Oh.
But I just got this idea.
Go for it.
You should let us watch one of your dates on Fireside. That's what we should do.
I would do it. I have no shame.
This would be great. And we can all chime in and, say things like, oh, he's full of crap.
We'll be the Bachelor producers whispering in your ear.
In my ear?
Yeah.
Listen.
But you have to make sure that he can't hear us.
Oh. So here's the thing. Because as we know, I was cool with Nick and Vanessa tricking a group of people, so I'm also probably okay with tricking someone for the bet. But does he know that he's on Fireside? Do I have to get a waiver involved?
Oh, that is a good question. That is a good question. Maybe we should ask Jen. Is Jen here? She could probably tell us.
Jen, do I need a waiver if I'm going to make a person date me on Fireside? You let me know. You've got my email. I dig it.
But that would be so cool.
I love the fact that I would just like enter a PF Chains with my ring light and just be like, don't worry about this. It's fine.
This is just my aesthetic.
I just wanted to make sure that you saw me in the right lighting, and that's my right. That is my right.
Yes, all you have to do is say, pay no attention to the ring light behind me.
Or just don't say anything about it. If he mentions it, you can be like, what are you talking about?
I didn't put that there.
Yeah, don't say anything about it.
I did not put that there. I don't know how it got there. I've just arrived here at the PF Chains, and I am the only person who is lit. And I thought that would be a good place to put my phone, because then I don't have to text, but then I'm constantly checking the messages and like telling him that I have a sick relative. I might get an update from a sick relative. Anthony says he has bad pants.
Yeah, that'll work, but we need or if you just like do a Zoom date.
Oh, okay.
We could do that too.
That is true. I am into the Zoom date because it's a lot of low effort. I do believe that should carry on from the pandemic into real dating culture, where I have to you have to entertain me via Zoom before I dedicate an evening out to you.
I like that idea too, because then you can kind of like suss out the vibes and stuff without being afraid that he's going to follow you home and murder you.
Right.
Which is obviously my main concern at all times.
Yes, always. And please know, any listeners or anyone who's in the office in the audience, if you are creepy, I will still be able to tell via the Zoom. There's no hiding it. There's no hiding it.
you can see creepiness on
I
Zoom.
can. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. That's perfect.
I can see creepiness during a Marvel movie. I've been like that one. That one's not the trustworthy Avenger.
Now, here's the question. If you see creepiness, are you still willing to go through the date?
No.
No.
Hard no.
No?
So
it becomes a safety issue.
Yeah. Here's a shameless plug. One of the episodes of the podcast is about my worst date of all time. And at some point, I did feel very unsafe during that date. And Katie, I don't know if you'll agree with this. Sometimes when the beginning of the unsafe happens, your brain goes into the don't alert the unsafe person that you feel unsafe.
Oh, absolutely. I do think that a lot.
So I did play out that date for about 40-ish minutes. It was at a Starbucks before I was like, okay, I gotta go. I gotta open up the theater tomorrow. And then try to zigzag in the parking lot so he didn't know what my car looked like.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of factors, I think, that go into how you handle that situation.
Right.
So I can't say that there's even a right or wrong answer to how to go about it. It's definitely in the moment. What do I do? That's when you follow the survival instincts.
But what if you were with a creepy, guy on a date, and you realized that, hey, this guy's really creepy. Mm-hmm. But instead, you became more creepy than him.
I do love that tactic.
On what kind of creepy it is.
Yeah, that's true. So serial killer creepy is no good.
So I did recently.
If he's just a weird guy, you can make that work.
So I was driving home from our downtown theater after a show, and it was late at night, and we had parked our cars downtown, driven to the theater in one car, and then gotten into our respective cars. It was the most beautiful of first spring nights, so I had my windows open, and I was jamming out to Jody Messina, which is my right. And I had stopped to check traffic before I pulled out of a parking lot. And a guy was walking from one place of business to the other side of the sidewalk. So I waved him on to let him know, do not worry, pedestrian. I will not hit you with my car today. I saw you. So I waved him on. He took that as an invitation to approach my car because he saw that my windows were open.
Oh, no.
And this is the only time that I've done this, and I did it because I saw it on TikTok. I immediately yelled out the window, "This isn't what that was!" And I rolled up my window and then edged my car forward so he'd take off. Because don't approach me in an empty parking lot. That's creepy.
No. Mm-mm.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. If you think that Jody Messina has good music, you can tell me from over there. You can shout it.
No, I don't like this story.
No, it was a bad story. My friend called me when I texted her, why did a man think that it was okay to approach me in an empty parking lot? She immediately called me and was like, are you fine? Did you survive it? I go, I did because I shouted. Because sometimes I dig Anthony's tactic of out creeping the creepy. Because sometimes it is effective.
I'm glad you were the one in the car and he was the one walking and not the reverse. Because
oh yeah, that's a whole different ballgame. When they're in the car. And you know what this means, Katie? This means that I have to do an episode about all of the ways that I have to make myself safe in public that no one else has to think of. When you're in the car, when they're in the car and you're on the street, that's an I'm ignoring you moment. And just hoping to get into a building where someone else can witness someone trying to take me.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are 5 minutes over, so we have to do our manifestations. I would like to open up our first manifestations and some positivity into the universe. I would just like to know, just because I'm very proud of myself, and my main manifestation is that I podcast for another year. So for birthday 2, I get to do all of the fun things that I had planned for myself. But if anyone else has any birthday wishes for the podcast, or if you have a wish that you would like to take in to your next year of life, we'll also put our positivity towards that. But if there is anyone else who would like to extend my manifestation of, I get to do this for another year and hopefully longer, you can type it. You can request to come on stage. We'll wait a couple of moments. Katie, thank you for being here. Kaylee and Anthony and Stephanie, thanks for coming on stage with me. Lily, Elvis, Jill, you were kind of on stage because Anthony was on stage. Dave, Jen, Woody, I always appreciate when you guys show up. So thank you so much for sharing the podcast's first birthday with me. I'm very proud of myself. I'm very proud of the show, and I'm proud to be on Fireside, and I've been having a really good time with it. So if you would like to enjoy more of this in a more organized, streamlined fashion, there's a link tree in both my profile and in the fortune cookie. It'll take you to all of the ways that you can support To All the Men I've Tolerated Before. All right, it looks like we're going to be done for the day, so I'm going to go ahead. Where's that wait bot? Where's my... Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, Anthony said, oh, we love you so much. Anthony, you said that you wanted to speak, so I don't know if you just wanted to write the comment or speak. But I love you too. I'm so happy to share an anniversary with Anthony and Jill. Make sure that you check out their show. It's on Wednesday, and they do a lot of the work that I'm doing, where they take really great issues and they argue them, sometimes from both sides, sometimes from the same side, and then they let you weigh in on it. And we will be back here 2 Mondays from now. You think by now I would have written the date down somewhere. And Jules, who was in the audience tonight from Pop Culture Makes Me Jealous, and I will be, when she came onto my show, she did an episode, and it's out now, and it's about what it was like to date a musician. She's dated musicians. I have not. I've just stared at musicians from the bottom of a stage or tried to get onto Bret Michaels' tour bus. So we're going to be taking hit love songs and researching the true stories behind those love songs. So maybe it'll help me not crush on musicians more, or maybe it'll help me clean on more. But I promised that I was going to bring my friend Waitbot up. So everyone, have a great rest of your night. Thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to year 2 of all of you. Hey everyone, it's Natalie, and I'm just here real quick to tell you that To All the Men I've Tolerated Before officially has merchandise. So if you're looking for a really great way to support the show and get our name out there so everyone can be on Team Tolerator, consider following the link in our show notes or in the bio of our Instagram at Men I've Tolerated Pod, so you can buy one of our title tees or see some of our holiday lines, like our feminist spooky line that includes t-shirts like Misogyny is Monstrous or My Past Relationships Still Haunt Me, with a beautiful haunted house on it. Happy spooky season, have a great day, and go shopping and treat yourself. You deserve it.